Today we have something very special. We're going to be installing something brand new onto the Subaru. I'm super excited, but let's not talk too much. Let me just show you what we got. Check this out. So we went ahead and bought some BC Racing coilovers for it. Now I did previously have coilovers on the car. I had Tane coilovers, but unfortunately, you know, they're not my favorite. They make noise when I'm driving, and I also happen to mess one up myself by basically seizing the bottom lock nut. So I know what not to do this time, basically. But anyway, we got the BC coilovers, the DS series, so they're digressive series. I guess what's different from these compared to the basic BR is the dampening and the hydraulic fluid. They have different valving inside the actual shock to make it optimized for cornering and weight transfer, and basically make this a more track oriented coilover system. Now the cool part about these is that they do come with camber adjustment or camber plates for the front. On top of that, they do have 30-way adjustable dampening, so you can basically choose how soft you want the rebound and compression, because it's tied into one knob based on what you're doing. So daily driving, or if you're gonna go take it to the track, you can stiffen them up. You can stiffen the front or stiffen the rear because each one has its own adjustments. Anyway, what we're gonna go ahead and do is we're gonna jack up the Subi. We're gonna start off with the front because it's the easiest. So if we actually go ahead and pop the hood, you can see I happen to have a Cusco strut bar installed, so basically it's just one additional step to take it off and get started. So you want to take off these 3 bolts. I recommend leaving one attached so that this way the coilover doesn't dangle, and then I'll show you what it looks like on the bottom of the car once we go ahead and get it jacked up. Your jack point, I don't know if you guys can see, but is where these 2 little dimples are in the actual frame rail. You want to put your jack right on there. Oh, duh. Make sure you take the lug nuts off before you fully jack up the car in the air. Jack the car up a little bit more. In case you guys wondering who's in the background, I got young Handy Mandy with me. Just kidding, it's my dad. All right, so that's what that looks like. Now of course you can see that I actually have spacers on here. I'm gonna go ahead and remove those. And you can also see I went ahead and applied anti-seize. That's something that you guys definitely want to do. So this way, if you lived in inclement weather or rainy weather, you never have to worry about these seizing up on you. Also, you should probably be wearing gloves for this. You don't want to get stains on your hand, but I don't care. Boom, see how easy that came off? Awesome. Anti-seize goes a long way, people, I'm telling you. All right, anyway, let's talk more work. So what you're gonna want to go ahead and do is remove these 2 bolts here, which, if I'm not mistaken, are also 19mm. Let's see. Yes, they are. So you're gonna need a wrench and either an impact gun or another ratchet. Let's go ahead and get that. All right, so holy crap. Whenever underneath your car, I always like to, sorry guys, inspect and make sure that everything looks good and nothing looks iffy or weird. Number 2 over here. I also kind of forgot that it probably is going to have a little corrosion. That's why it was hard to take out. Anyway, go ahead and tap these 2 bolts out. Make sure you keep your knee right underneath the rotor, or have something to prop it up so that this way it doesn't fall and you don't damage one of your brake lines. Yeah, alicate, and this looks like a 12mm. I'm gonna take this little ABS sensor, ABS speed sensor out. Oh, man. Take this 12mm bolt out. This is what's holding your brake line to the actual coilover so that it doesn't get tangled up or get get, potentially damaged. Take this out. Pop that out, and now we're gonna get to the bolts that are on the top. You want to either have somebody down there holding the rotor so that it doesn't fall and disconnect from the actual ABS line, or get something to prop it up so this way it doesn't fall. Either way, you come back up here. These 3 bolts up top are going to be 12 millimeter. This back one in here is going to be a pain in the butt. Another little tip for loosening bolts is, if it's really on there, you want to tighten it a little bit and then go to loosen it, because that'll kind of break the little seal that it made with itself. Make sure these bolts don't fall. Shout out to UPS for delivering the coilovers for me. Oh, almost dropped it. Dude, it's a German car, bro. E92 V8. Yep. All right, so now that you got the 3 top bolts off, if you have somebody holding it, you can tell them to go ahead and pull it down. If you don't, you keep one of these bolts attached so it doesn't fall on you. Out with the old. These got kind of crusty. Sheesh. Maybe you want to put some grease in here so that they don't get all jacked up like this. Note to self, white lithium grease. Anyway, I'll set these down over here. If you're interested in some coilovers for the STI, you can buy these off of me for super cheap. Just DM me on Instagram. And yeah, we'll go from there. One of them does not function though, so you will have to send one back to Tane, but it'll still be cheaper than buying brand new. All right, so I'm pretty sure left means driver's side. All right, guys, so one thing that Pops just reminded me of is you want to make sure that your preload is set. Now, BC Racing in their instruction manual said that they already set it from them, so I'm just going to make sure that the lock nut's actually tight. And just make sure that they're snugged up. Because obviously, you know, you don't want to have any issues. I'm digging these coilovers though. This color's pretty dope. So you unlock this bottom lock washer. How the height adjustment works is it's not going to be able to spin this bottom half on when it's on the car, but you can spin the actual spring body itself to get your height set. But anywho, let's go ahead and pop this on the car. Oh well, hello. The bolts are on it. We gotta take the bolts off. Oops. There you go. So this is how it's supposed to look. Now the reason why it's supposed to look like this is because it has the camber plate. So you want to be able to adjust it back and forth so that this way you can change your camber from the top. I already got one bolt in, so you don't have to hold it. And you can either hold the coilover up with one hand and guide one of these nuts on and then let go of it so that you can get the rest, or you can have a helper just like I do. All right, guys, so that's how you do the front. Take everything out, put it in just like I showed you, tighten it, and then go ahead and move on to the other side. All right, guys, so we went ahead and removed the rear wheel. Of course, as you saw, the front is the same on both sides. We have a 17 millimeter nut here, which looks like this. I already took it off. And a 17 millimeter bolt. So, of course, you take it out. Then that releases the strut from the bottom of the control arm. Then, if we take a step up, come inside the car, and of course you take the mat out, both of them, both the rubber and the carpet, or if you only have one, whatever it is, and you take the nuts off that are under here. So 2 14 millimeter nuts at the top on both sides, and then of course when you're putting it back in, it's the exact opposite. So you want to go ahead and put the top back in first, get the 2 nuts on there to hold it in place, and then you want to go ahead and get the rear control arm underneath. All right guys, so we went ahead and took out this clip right here, this clip up here, this one over here, and then there's one back there. My dad's pointing at it. There you go. Take that out, and it allows you to kind of wiggle the undershroud so that this way you can get the coilover out. Now, we just mentioned another idea that's really easy if you're only doing it with one person. Undo that sway bar end link. If you undo that sway bar end link, it takes off all the tension off of the control arm, and it'll make it much easier for you to actually pull the whole coilover out. Whew. All right guys, a little bit of a struggle later, but it's just because we weren't thinking right. Anyway, now when you're putting this on, since of course the sway bar is used to being at one height, you need to raise the actual lower control arm up so that you can line up the hole and get the bolt in. Well, what you're gonna have to do is, if you only have one jack, you can take the scissor jack that's in your actual spare tire, and let's see if you can see it right underneath here. You want to jack this portion up and raise it so that this way you can slide the bolt right in. I recommend using a piece of cardboard in between the jack and the actual jack point so that this way you don't damage anything. But yeah, that's pretty much it. To adjust the height on the coilover, you want to of course remove this bottom lock nut, and by remove I mean loosen. And then you can either, one, move the whole shock body left or right to adjust up or down, or you can grab one of the spanner wrenches if it's a little bit too difficult and put your spanner wrench on the top lock nut, and that'll allow you to adjust the coilover up and down. That's pretty much it. So now it comes the time where you kind of get finicky with the height and stuff. This is probably the longest or the hardest thing to do. And then after that, you get the wheel on, and that's pretty much it. Alrighty peeps, we're back. Now check this out. This is the before side, so that's what the stock wheel looks like with a 25mm spacer that I ordered off of Subi Speed. Excuse the dirtiness, but you know, your boy got to get to the car wash anyway. Looking up top, it's the coilover. I don't know if you guys are ready for this. Are you ready for this? That's the new coilovers. Hold on, hold on, hold on, hold on. Boom. Damn, boy. Look at this Fitment. Look at this. Alright guys, check this out. Alright, good. That's what it's gonna look like. So I'm gonna raise it up just a little bit, because every coilover set that you order eventually settles after you driving it for, you know, a little bit. Alright, so I'm sure some of you are probably wondering, yo, Christian, how do the coilovers ride? Would you change anything? You know, basically, what's your overall thoughts? Well, I waited a couple of days to do that because first, you know, I wanted to let them settle, like I mentioned a little bit earlier. And I wanted a couple of days to, you know, drive the car in multiple conditions: rain, dry, bumpy, smooth. So this way I can give you a good image of how they are. Well, long story short, they're awesome. They don't make any noise at all. What I will recommend is, I'd say probably after maybe 3 or 4 days of driving your car, jack it up in the air and go over all the nuts and bolts that we undid recently, just to make sure that they're torqued to spec, because it's suspension, you know, these parts move frequently, so it's very easy for you to undo something, put it back together, and then it gets loose a little bit because, you know, it has to deal with all the bumps and undulations in the road. So yeah, I recommend going over everything one more time because it's important for your safety. But yeah, the coilovers ride amazing. I did stiffen up the front a little bit just because I am kind of low right now, but once I get to the point where I'm going to take the car to the track, I'm actually probably going to raise it, I'd say maybe an inch, so that this way I can get the alignment dialed in a little bit better. For those of you who are wondering, I am running 3.5 degrees of negative camber in the rear and 1.5 in the front. It did rub when I did not have the camber in the rear, so I do recommend rolling and maybe pulling slightly the rear. The front aren't bad. The front you could just get away with a roll, but the rear you definitely want to pull a little bit. And I kind of shaved off a little bit of the bumper clip that holds the fender to the rear bumper. But other than that, they've been great. Running 265 tires. If you don't watch the wheel video, I'll go ahead and, you know, link it right here. But yeah, the coilovers are great. So let's get a quick. Oh, no way! I just stalled. Oops! Oh my goodness! So we're gonna get a quick little driving clip. Of course, can't have a solid video unless you get a little pull going on. So we're in third gear. Roll into it. You just gotta love it. Holy cow. Yo, this car makes me smile. I know I said that in the first video, but I just gotta repeat it. There's something so satisfying / gratifying about boost that it's beyond words. Anyway, huge difference with these coilovers. When you do a pull and I'm going in between the gears, normally you would get the motion of the stock suspension swaying as you accelerate. But with the coilovers, since they're 9K springs, all the power is just being translated through the drivetrain smoothly with no extra motion. Anyway, guys, if you stayed this long in the video, I can't thank you enough. I appreciate you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me. If you have any comments on how I can improve, please leave them down below. And I guess look forward to the next one. As you can see, we're on a little bit of a streak. And yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. It means a lot. Don't forget,